Guys, we have 4 winners from last week's giveaway. Tom, let them know who won.
That's right, Francis Garcia, Dan Shady Wayne Rose, Sean Welch, and Steve Kange. Comic fam, enjoy your hot comics list. Comic fam, hit that like button, slap the subscribe button. Anniversary week for not just the trending video 3 years going. This is the week that Gem and I started 1 year ago, every week, without missing a beat, covering the hottest comics of our generation. Gem, thanks for doing this with me, and I appreciate you being here today.
Happy anniversary, Tom, and damn, I'm a good employee.
Stay tuned to the end of the video, comic fam, and before I get teary-eyed over here, call me Professor Zoom. Let's Eobarthon this, reverse this, and start out the list at number 10.
You know, Tom, on these top 10 hottest back issue videos that we do, there's just too much Marvel love. It's time for some DC love, and coming in at number 10 is Flash 139, the first appearance of Reverse Flash.
Let's start him off with the entry-level 3.5. Back in 2015, hitting $380. That's up this week, 21%, going for $459.
The CGC 6.0 sold for $1,020 back in January, and that's up 18%, now selling for $1,199. The next bump up, the 6.5 sold for $1,300 back in April, and that's seeing a gain of 15%, selling for $1,500 even.
Now, if there's anyone watching our video looking for some buy-in potential, maybe getting discouraged from how high some of these blue chip records have gone, DC Keys, specifically in the Silver Age and Select Bronze Age, is where it's at. That's the answer. The proof is here in the numbers. Let's take a look at a comparison book over at Marvel with X-Men number 3, the first appearance of the Blob. X3 has a total of 1,821 graded copies on the CGC census currently. Flash 139, a lonely 1,095. Now, let's take a look at the gains from just a decade ago. Reverse Flash, an 8.5, could have been secured for $850. And in 2020, an 8.5 sold for $1,900. That's an increase of 123% over the course of a decade. Now, comparing to X3, although higher of a grade, a 9.4 recently went for $8,400. Now, when we look at Reverse Flash, looking at the census, there are 0 9.8s in existence and a lonely 34 grades that are 9.0 and higher. When you compare these types of values, X3 is comfortably selling for a 2x amount, twice the amount of the Reverse Flash, and we're talking the Blob.
You got to look at it like this. Marvel keys are insane right now. They're literally pricing themselves out of reach for your regular collector, leaving DC keys prime for speculation. Also, a lot of us 80s babies grew up in the 90s watching X-Men cartoons and playing the video games, but the next generation grew up watching The Flash on CW. They're 7 seasons in.
And it's not stopping anytime soon. We got Madame Xanadu on her way. Zatanna's coming. Black Adam. Heck, even a modern age hero, Naomi, is slated for the CW. A plethora of Green Lantern heroes are going to become even more of a household name than they already are. Guy Gardner, John Stewart, Alan Scott, where you at? And to keep up with all of these DC keys, you need to download Key Collector Comics, the best comic app in existence. Specifically, check out the DC movies and TV categories where all of these characters are being followed. All of the shows are being categorized and being updated on the daily. Now, at number 9, we're gonna break and talk about some Silver Surfer goodness. A thick book on a black cover. We got Silver Surfer 1.
First ongoing Silver Surfer series, first appearance of Shalabal.
Shalabal!
When that first appearance outprices itself, you got to go to the next best thing, the first ongoing series.
The 2.0 hitting $340 in March, up 54%. Now selling for $525. The 3.0 back in April going for $600, up 8%. Now selling for $650. Members are ditching issue 48 because of those price hikes. Tell them about that 7.0.
The 7.0 sold for $2,640 back in June, and it's up only 2%, but it's up, selling for now $2,700. Moving on to number 8 on the list, we have Amazing Spider-Man 20, a Silver Age Spider-Man key, the first appearance of Mac Gargan as the Scorpion.
Mac Gargan actually appears in Spidey lore for the first time in ASM 19, but goes full Scorpion in issue 20, which also happens to be one of the very first grails that I acquired as a young adult upon re-entering the collector's space. The reason why I acquired that is because nostalgia was real. I remember watching this villain during the Spider-Man animated show every other Saturday, watching that with comic pops. But as of January, we had word that Matt Gargan, who was already introduced in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, would likely reprise his role for the upcoming Spider-Man 3 movie. And will he go full Scorpion? That is the question. But what's this? A Lego set was revealed this week, and Scorpion is in it.
You know, Marvel will typically release characters, whether it be in Funko Pops, Marvel Legends, or in this case, the Spider-Man Lego set, which has a Scorpion figure that comes with it. Coincidence?
The collectors community doesn't think so. Take a look at these numbers this week. A 2.5 back in September could have been acquired for $280, and that's up 69%, selling for $474 this week.
The CGC 4.0 sold for $915 back in May, and it's up 4%, now selling for $950.
The 4.5 could have been secured for $800, and that's up $50 this week, now selling for $850. That's an increase of 6%. Although moderate gains, this is number 8 on our list. This means that this book can shoot up when things get confirmed. You gotta be watching The Scorpion. You gotta be watching Werewolf by Night. At the list at number 7, we have Marvel Spotlight issue number 2. Moon Knight spec is real. Any character that we may see is gonna skyrocket. We have a 5.0 mid-grade copy back in June going for $565. That's up for the first time ever, 15%, selling for $650 this week. The 7.0 back in April could have been secured for $840. That's up 5%, now selling for $880.
Then we have the CGC 8.5. This book sold for $1,500 back in May, and it's up 70%. Finally, I get to report on some big gains, now selling for $2,550. Moving on to number 6, we have some more Silver Age goodness. We're talking Fantastic Four, issue 4, the first Silver Age appearance of Namor.
The anti-hero on rumors alone. I'll remind the comic fam that there has been zero confirmation. Tenoch Huerta is only rumored to appear in Black Panther 2, but it doesn't stop the collectors from trying to secure this very difficult book, this major book in the collectible space. And the reason why this book is piping hot is because of his first appearance being largely unattainable, not just for the average collector, but for any collectors. The history dates back to 1939 at the release of his first appearance that would later become a reprint, but that wouldn't be known to the collectors for quite some time in Marvel Comics issue number 1. What would happen is we have a gentleman who is a legend in the comic space, one of the first comic book publishers who was responsible for starting so many comics, specifically Marvel Comics. We have Lloyd Victor Jacquet, who attempted to popularize comic books via movie theaters in 1939, specifically with a comic called Motion Picture Funnies issue number 1 that would actually have the first appearance of the Submariner, Namor, in its short 8 pages of story. Here's the thing, this promotional giveaway wasn't uncovered in the collectible space until 1974. How did this happen? Those comic books that Lloyd produced wouldn't catch on. They wouldn't become popular. So rather than them being all distributed, he would keep them in his estate where they would lay dormant until 1974, till he passed away, where they were then rediscovered and changing the collectible history forever.
This find is like akin to a Marvel previews, like the Miles Morales previews copy, which still sells for decent money. There were only 6 copies found after his death, and the worst copy of the bunch sold for $2,000 in 1970. So, I mean, think about inflation. Think about how the collectible market has increased since then. That's around the same amount that a near mint copy of Action 1 went for back then, which was around $2,500 to $3,000.
And that copy was the worst of the batch, missing 6 pages. Collectors knew that this was something special. This ghost comic book has now caused a hyperinflation to not just Marvel issue 1, but to FF issue 4. A 1.0 back in October could have been secured for $1,360. That's up 18%, selling for $1,600 this week.
A 2.0 sold for $2,100 back in May, and it's up 31%, now selling for $2,750.
And then we have the 3.5 going for $4K, now up 34% since January, selling for an all-new high of $5,350. I love the comparison to the Marvel Previews 95. You can call this a promotional comic book. You can call this a previews comic book. This book sold for as much as an Action 1 back in the day, and to this day is so scarce that members, I feel, would pay a similar amount if one came to market.
Call it a promo, call it a prototype, call it a preview. Either way, it's a collectible. Moving on to number 5, we're talking DC Comics presents issue 26, the first appearance of the Teen Titans team.
Underappreciated DC key moving up in value with still room to grow with buying potential now. We have the first appearance of the new Teen Titans, Robin, Wonder Girl, Kid Flash, and Beast Boy, but the first appearance of 3 major DC heroes, Cyborg, Raven, and Starfire. The 6.0 going for $150 in May is up 20%, selling for $180. And 8.5 went for $237 in June, and that's up 35%, selling for $320. Yes, an 8.5 is still selling for under $500 for one of the biggest Bronze Age keys.
And we have the CGC 9.8 setting a new precedence. It sold for $1,700 back in August of 2020, and it's up 32%, now selling for $2,250. I'm sure we're going to see that trickle-down effect.
Next on the list, we have a comic book making its way on here because of Loki Episode 5. I'll remind the community that you got to be subscribed to Gem Mint over on GemMintCollectibles, where myself, as well as a ton of other amazing YouTubers, are going to gather to chat about the season finale. Episode 6 is going to drop this week. Will we see Kang? Come join us at the table.
Yeah, man, it gets crazy. We have a huge panel of content creators, Comic Tom and myself, Rock and Robbie from Pop Culture Philosophers, Very Gary, Pressable Defects, Benny the Comic Storian, Michael Roman from Everything Always, and more. We kind of have some rotating seats there, so definitely come through. The season finale is going to be nuts.
We're chatting Strange Tales 158, the first appearance of the Living Tribunal. We haven't heard the name of this entity since Doctor Strange, and we see a plethora of Easter eggs in episode 5 of Loki, one of them being which? The 3-headed statue of the Living Tribunal. This entity exists in the MCU. What was your favorite Easter egg from the show, Jem? Because there were so many.
It is a tough one because there were so many great Easter eggs, but easily, for me, it's the Thanos copter.
I love me some Thanos copter, but like the community, I got all hyped seeing the frog version of Thor trapped in that beaker with that Mjolnir just out of reach. We have a 5.0 going for $136 back in June to be outdone with an increase of 47%, selling for $200, and a 5.5 going for $260 back in 2019, now selling for $360 this week. That's an increase of 38%.
And these sales are all after Wednesday. The CGC 6.5, which sold for $242 back in March, is now up 65% with a high sale of $400.
I'll remind the community that Kevin Feige confirmed that the Living Tribunal was actually left on the cutting room floor back in 2018 during Infinity War. So that means that collectors have known that there was some potential to see this entity, but didn't really buy in. But with a 200% increase in copies sold since the debut of Loki Episode 5, I think this all means something else completely. This is not flippers trying to get in on a book. This isn't about investment long term. This is about the show. Disney Plus landing with the mainstream, creating new collectors who want to hold on to their collectibles because it means something to them. This is a show that they're going to remember long term, and they want to remember the moment that they saw it on screen.
Well said, Tom. Now, number 3 on the list, we're going Marvel Premiere Issue 28. This is the first appearance in origin of the Legion of Monsters.
We got Ghost Rider, Morbius, Werewolf by Night, and Man-Thing all debuting as a team and their origin in this issue. And with Morbius slated for a movie very soon and Werewolf by Night rumors that are on Max right now, it's only making sense why this team appearance is worth getting into right now with prices being as low as they are for as monumental of a book and key that this is. We have a 5.0 going for $52 in 2015. Up 150%, selling for $130 this week.
The last sale for an 8.5 was back in June, and it sold for $200. It's up 50%, now selling for $300.
And then we have the 9.4, a monster increase going for $380 back in March, up 38% in a little over 3 months, now selling for $525. Get ready for the Legion of Monsters. Get ready for Bronze Age horror to hit the screen. And at number 2, I think the community needs to get ready for Kang.
Number 2 is Avengers number 8, the first appearance of Kang the Conqueror, and it was Kang all along. No way he ends up being the head of the TVA, mark my words, but I digress.
Well, I think the community is hoping you're wrong because they are specking on this book. And here's the thing. He may not show up in Loki episode 6, the season finale, but we may get a post-credit scene. We may see additional Easter eggs, more than we already have so far over the last couple months. But here's the thing. We have Quantum Mania on its way. Jonathan Majors already confirmed with Kang slated to appear. And as of this past week, if you had your key alerts on, you would know that Jonathan Majors has signed for 5 projects, with one of them possibly being his own solo series. Let's take a look at the numbers. A 4.0 back in June could have been secured for $1,080. That's up 39% this week, going for $1,500. And last week, this book was number 9 on the Hot 10, and it's moved to number 2 with these price hikes.
This book is on fire. The CGC 4.5, which sold for $1,000 back in June, it's up 30%, now selling for $1,300.
Then we have the 5.0 going for $1,400 in June. It's gonna clear 2K any day now. It's up 36% as of this week, selling for an all-new high of $1,900. And if you like what Gem and I do every single week for 1 year straight without skipping a beat, you can support both shows for 3 more days only by joining the July Mystery Mail Call box. ComicTom101.com, link in the description below to secure the first ever Gem Mint Comic Tom dual exclusive.
You have until midnight July 15th to secure this variant, the first ever Gem Mint Comic Tom exclusive, The Boys #1 from 2006 with this Ben Templesmith Homelander cover.
Slap that subscribe, hit that like, join the community, and let's chat about the #1 hottest book in the world.
We're talking Tomb of Dracula, issue 10, the first appearance of Blade, the Vampire Hunter.
Mahershala Ali is slated to take on the role as Blade, the living vampire. He's going to absolutely slay this role if we know anything from his stellar job on Luke Cage playing Cottonmouth. We have rumors of Werewolf by Night. We have rumors of Dracula. Bronze Age fans rejoice. We also have the HBO screenplay writer attached to this narrative that's giving a lot of confidence to collectors and fans, and it's proving it with the record breakers this week. The 2.5 had its record set of $385 last year in October to be outdone with an increase of 131% this week, selling for $890 for the first time ever.
Yeah, that's the big boy sale right there, setting that new precedence for the 2.5. The 4.0, which sold for $951 back in April, cleared that 1K mark with a 37% increase, now selling for $1,300.
We had records broken for the 4.5 and the 8.5 this week, but the 9.6 was where it's at. Back in June, going for $13,800 to be outdone by an increase of 12%, selling above $15,000 for the first time ever. The first time in comic history, selling for $15,500 this week.
Woo!
Woo is right. Hot damn, comic fam. Let me know what you think about this video in the comment section below. It'll enter you to win one of 4 digital graphic novels. We're talking about Scout's comic tags. We're going to send out 4 of these with a full unlockable graphic novel of the hit series The Mall. And, as always,
geek responsibly and stay minty fresh.
Enough said. We got other videos for you to check out. Make sure to catch up on the honorable mentions video, the comics that had single price record breakers that didn't quite make our Hot 10. And you know, we got the podcast here for you. We chat about expensive paper regularly here. Come join us and have a great week.